الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we seek His aid, we ask His forgiveness, we repent to Him, and we rely on Him. We seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil of our souls and our deeds. He whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided, no one can misguide, and he whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not guided, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his final messenger. يقول الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان فقال لها وللأرض ائتيا طوعا أو كرها قالتا أتينا طائعين. As always, brothers and sisters, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to be here on this blessed day of Jum'ah. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy and His compassion, that He has yet again allowed us to be here on this blessed day. And perhaps we will find it in ourselves to turn to Him in sincere repentance. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing us with this great way of Islam, guiding us to the path that leads to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Him subhanahu wa ta'ala for He is the only one that is truly deserving of thanks. Brothers and sisters in faith, today I wanted to have a conversation with you regarding one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, and that is compassion and mercy. And the verse that I chose for you today is from Surah 41, verse 11, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Then He turned to the sky, which was smoke, and He said to it and the earth, come into being willingly or not. And they said, we come willingly." This verse here, brothers and sisters, warrants reflection. It warrants reflection because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is communicating to you that His creation has submitted to Him. And His creation has submitted to Him willingly. And that you, mankind, ought to follow the lead of those who know. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the heavens and the earth the option to submit to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala willingly, or they would be forced to submit to Him. And they understood what being forced meant. Man, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often refers to in the Quran, that man is often duped and fooled by his own arrogance. By his own arrogance in thinking that he knows better. They submitted, and we ought to submit. If this verse, and again, often when I refer you to a verse, I'm hoping that you will reflect on the verse, because this, as I said, this verse warrants a serious reflection and contemplation. Because if you read this verse and you are not touched by it, you're someone that needs to engage in some serious dua. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you. Your Lord is always merciful. He always demonstrates His compassion and His mercy to you. For He chose to begin the first chapter in the Quran, He began with what? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He begins the first chapter, the first surah in the Quran with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The name of Allah, the benevolent, the merciful, or in whatever translation you want to use. Not only did He do that, but in 113 of the surahs in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. There's one surah in which you do not recite the Basmalah, and that is Surah At-Tawbah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeats Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim at the beginning of every surah 113 times. And back in Surah Al-Fatiha, not only did He begin Surah Al-Fatiha with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, but the third ayah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want you to forget. He doesn't want you to forget that He is compassionate and merciful. He doesn't want you to forget that He has mercy even when you do not deserve it. As Ar-Rahman is a reference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extending His mercy to all of His creation. Everybody gets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, whether they realize it, understand it, or not. Whether it is evident to you or not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful to you, mankind. So if you are connected, as we often talk about being connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the importance of that. If you are connected to your Lord, meaning that you are engaged You engage in salah, remembrance, and those things that keep you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will not forget. But when you're not, you'll forget. When you're not, when your relationship with your Lord is non-existent or has deteriorated, then you'll forget. You'll forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful and compassionate. You'll be blinded by whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested you with. And in your mind, you'll think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love is always there. His compassion and His mercy is always there. Ar-Rahim is a reference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving compassion to those who have earned His compassion. Everybody doesn't get that. That has to be earned. There are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you that are givens. Everybody gets it. One who submits and one who doesn't. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives that to everybody. But forgiveness, He doesn't give it to everybody. That's something you have to work for. That's something that you have to earn. Throughout the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes reference to these two attributes. He describes Himself in these two ways, as being Rahman and being Ar-Rahim. And it is important for us, to embody some of that. Some of that divine attribute of compassion and mercy. See, because we have expectations. We have expectations of other people. We have expectations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We turn to Him either regularly or we turn to Him in desperation. And we have the expectation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be there. And we expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to listen. And we expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to hear. And we expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to answer. But is that expectation one that we share with those who we engage with? Meaning that the same expectation that I have of them, they can expect of me. Do we demonstrate that to our fellow human beings? Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Imam Muslim reports that Abu Hurairah Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu says that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-Rahman, yarhamu man fil ardi, yarhamukum man fil sama. This hadith is recorded in the collection of Imam al-Tirmidhi. He said that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, those who are merciful and compassionate, that the merciful and compassionate will have mercy on them. Ar-Rahimuna, not the person that, once, couple of times, few times, demonstrated compassion and mercy. A person that has embodied this quality, has embraced this quality. And when people engage with him, that's what they get. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give that to him. As a reminder, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Irhamu man fil ardi, yarhamukum man fil sama. Have mercy, demonstrate mercy and compassion to your fellow human beings. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy and compassion on you. Brothers and sisters in faith, we all know Ramadan is rapidly approaching. Today is the 11th of the month of Sha'ban. One of the du'as that we make is that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, during the month of Sha'ban, would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him the opportunity to witness the month of Ramadan. It's one of the du'as that we make. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to partake in this great blessing. And we understand and we believe that Ramadan is the month of mercy. We believe that because we go all out. We do everything in our power to earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and his forgiveness. And we behave, most of us at least, our behavior is excellent. We're on our best behavior, or at least we try to be. That expectation that we have, brothers and sisters, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to extend us time. That he's going to give us enough time to turn it around. That he's going to give us enough time to get it right. That he's going to give us enough time to earn that reward. Is that something that we do when we navigate life? Or are we people that deny and judge? Are we people that when we engage with those whom we know and those who we don't know, we place them in categories? Do we place them in categories? Fulan Majnoon. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may have afflicted a person with an ailment. Person may not always be in complete control of their faculties. And we place them in this category and we treat them that way. Or do we demonstrate compassion and mercy? Do we push them away? You know, the African American community, mental illness is a stigma. It's a stigma. Even with my brothers and sisters from the Middle East, it's a stigma. You want to hide the person that's not perfect. Keep them locked up behind closed doors, because that person is going to bring shame on you or the family, whatever that means. We do the same thing in the black community. Do we demonstrate compassion to those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested in that way? Do we demonstrate compassion to the person that we encounter in our travels walking down the street, or the people that come into our places of business, or the people that come into our places of worship, and they reek of urine, feces. They smell as if they haven't bathed in most certainly, they haven't bathed in weeks, sometimes maybe even months. And when we engage with these people, do we engage with them with the understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored mankind? When he says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, that's everybody. The one who looks like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him everything. And the one who has fallen on hard times. Do we treat them with dignity and humanity? Or when we engage with them as if they are a parasite. Don't get too close to me. Don't touch me. We turn our noses up. Your faith calls you to deal with that person the same way you would deal with a person that is shiny, smells good, wealthy, all that good stuff. That person that would appeal to you. That's what your Islam calls it. Your Islam calls you to view the human being and not the state that the human being is in. And that person approaches you, regardless of where that person is. That person may be an addict. That addiction is a form of illness. Person may be an addict. You deal with them with compassion. Person may be homeless. You deal with them with compassion. Person may be mentally ill. Do we deal with them with compassion? Or are we selective with regards to how we want to deal with people because we place people in these boxes? As Muslims, we're supposed to be just. Every man that mounts this minbar, every Friday, we end our khutbah with the verse that I constantly remind myself. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands what? Justice. First thing. We have to be just. We have to demonstrate compassion and mercy. We have to treat people with dignity. See, often when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to you, and you're used to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving to you, you forget. See, because none of this you control. You are not in control of your ni'mah the way you think you are. You're not in control of that like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take that from you in a blink of an eye. You're not in control of your health like that, physical or mental, because illness can afflict you in a heartbeat. You can be the healthiest person in the world and drop dead of a heart attack. You can do all of the exercises to keep yourself mentally sharp, deal with your stress, all that good stuff, and still have a genetic defect that will cause you to lose your mind. So next time you see somebody like that, demonstrate some humility. Show some compassion and mercy. Make dua for the person as opposed to talking about them. Imam Muslim reports in his collection, hadith narrated by Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, says that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, رب أشعث أغبر مدفوع بالأبواب لو أقسم على الله لأبره. This is the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam speaking to what I just mentioned to you. And he says, perhaps a person who is, and the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used ash'atha akbar. He's giving you a physical description of a person that is tattered. He's a mess. You've seen it. He's a mess. Hair's all over the place. He's dingy, dirty, clothes tattered, all that's all of that. He's all of that. That person is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's your creator. And as you should know, he doesn't look at that. What he looks at is what's in here. So that person you may engage with, and you may turn your nose up to, and you may look at that person and you judge and you put them in this box and there's no way. And that person could make a dua and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would instantly answer that dua. You know why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rabbul Khalq. He's the Lord of creation. He knows that person and knows what's in their heart. And He knows you. He knows the shiny person. The person that's visibly together. Visibly, you can be visibly together. Visibly, you're in the masjid all the time. Visibly, people see you doing all these wonderful things. But truly, who are you? Now, visibly to us, fulan, masha'Allah. But your Lord knows you. And for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that you got some stuff with you. He knows that you got some stuff with you. Visibly, subhanallah. Every time you turn around, fulan is in sujood. Fulan has all the markings of spirituality. But your Lord knows you. Your Lord knows what's in here. Your Lord knows that, person, you may encounter somebody. Excuse me, sir, can you help me? And immediately you see them and that door is closed. Nope. Or someone, as I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested them. And the first word is, get away from me. Don't come too close. But you're holy. How can you be holy and not have any mercy or compassion? Those two don't go together. Reminder. I mentioned this to you a few times in the past couple of months. And Prophet ﷺ said that a person who has the quality of arrogance, kibr, will not enter paradise. When you look down on people, fulan or fulana doesn't measure up to what I think they're supposed to be or how they're supposed to be. Gotta work on that. When you see the person coming, you see them walking down the street stumbling, whatever their condition is, and we know how it goes. See, when you are in tune with you, you're not gonna lie. You know how it goes. You see him coming, and you step aside. I don't want you to get too close to me. I don't want you to ask me anything. I don't want you to say anything to me. I don't want to engage with you. All these things that we go through when we engage with others. Your faith calls you to rise above that. Ramadan is coming, brothers and sisters, as I said. Today is the 11th, inshallah, of the month of Sha'ban. And as I said, we're going to be looking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a lot of things. We're going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. We're going to look for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. Right? We're going to extend our arms in dua more than any other time in the year. We're going to beg and plead with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, pardon us, extend to us, grant us all of those words that we use to ask of our Lord. And as your arms are extended to the heavens, and as you are begging your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala for whatever it is that you want from him, I want you to remember, and we all have to, as your arms are extended, as you're asking for the one who has all power, you acknowledge that. Remember all the times that you said no. As your arms are extended and you're asking forgiveness for your transgressions, remember all the people that you have yet to forgive because you can't get over it. You can't let it go. But you got your arms, and your expectation is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supposed to forgive you because of who you are and how holy you think you are. But I can't let it go. And as you have your arms extended, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you, to grant you, you can't figure out how to give somebody a nickel because of the way they look, or simply, I don't want to do it. Get a job. Your Islam does not call you to be like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, speaking to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Surah Al-Duha, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. And he goes all the way down to verse 10. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. As for the one who approaches you and asks of you, do not deny them, do not belittle them. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he's speaking to all of us. Now I want you to remember this when you're begging Allah. Oh Allah, help me. But you couldn't figure out how to help somebody else. But He subhanahu wa ta'ala is supposed to help you because somehow you're deserving of His help. But that other person wasn't. And truthfully, normally what people ask of us is small and achievable and doable. It's what resides in us that prevents us from aiding and assisting other people. It gets in the way. That's why the everyday conversation is deal with your stuff. Because your stuff gets in the way of you achieving your goal. Your goal is to stand before your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala in a good way. That's every Muslim's goal. So either you are truthful in your goal, you're honest, and if you're honest, you're going to do what you have to do, or you're deluded. So if you're deluded, I don't know what to tell you. You're deluded. You think that you can do whatever, treat people however, and go through a bunch of rituals, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala somehow is supposed to reward that. It doesn't work like that. Because if you understood your faith, you would understand where your conduct and your character ranks. Your deeds, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at what you owe to Him, and then He looks at what you owe to other people. He doesn't just look at what you owe to Him. He looks at what you owe to your fellow human beings, Muslim or not. So Islam is not the qualifier. Somehow I have to treat Muslims with kindness and compassion, and the other, whatever, man. That's not Islam. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam demonstrated that. Because he treated everybody the same way. He demonstrated that. As you approach this blessed month, brothers and sisters, inshallah, and inshallah, you want to maximize the benefit. As we always do. We always have our Ramadan goals. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Inshallah, you'll get to do that. Again, that's not up to you. That's not up to you, whether or not you make it or not. One of your du'as one of the du'as that we all make is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us, that He honors us by allowing us to partake in it. Alright? But as you work towards this goal, we have some house cleaning to do. We all do. It's house cleaning. There's no better time for you to do this house cleaning than now. Make tawbah. Make tawbah. Return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Him for His forgiveness. You need to adjust your attitude. Adjust your attitude. Whatever it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested you with, whatever it is that you have inside of you that you know for sure, I have to deal with this because this is getting in my way. Deal with it. Because Ramadan isn't going to fix that. Ramadan ain't going to fix that. So if you're hard-hearted, Ramadan isn't going to make you compassionate all of a sudden. Because the real you is still there. The real you is still there. You're making all the salahs that's not going to fix that. You have to deal with the real you. You fasting, going without food and drink is not going to fix that. You have to deal with your stuff. Deal with your stuff. Stop prolonging it. Stop procrastinating. Stop all that. See, the longer you do that, the more jeopardy you're in. You may be asking yourself, well, how is that? Because if you never deal with it, you're going to be asked about it. So you're going to continue the same pattern of behavior. Same old thing. Same old fulan. That's how he is. And if you've accepted that this is how I am, and you're not willing to try to improve yourself and your stance with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on you. We're going to need His mercy anyway. We're going to need His mercy anyway. Because that reward that we all look forward to, we're granted that by Allah's mercy only. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made that statement. His wife Aisha radiallahu anha said, not even you, O Messenger of Allah. He said, not even me, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy on me. That He demonstrates His mercy and His compassion, and He allows me that which He has promised me. Your path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers and sisters, is work. You got to work. It's riddled with challenges. Embrace the challenges. Don't ignore them. Because they're not going away. They're not going to go away. Embrace your challenges. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to aid and assist you. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات من كل ذنب واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبي الكريم وبعد, brothers and sisters. In conclusion, as always, Today's khutbah, brothers and sisters, is tied in directly to what we end every khutbah with, which is a reminder of, doing right by yourself. Finding a way to be of service to others, whatever that looks like. Working on who you are, working on being a better person, a better human being, a better servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't want to be in a position where you are defiant to the point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to bring you to your knees. And again, we started out today's conversation with that verse from Surah Al-Fussilat. And that's a reminder that you don't want to ever be in a position where you're so defiant that your Lord has to bring you to your knees, because He will. Historically, when you look at mankind, everybody that thought they were the toughest, the baddest, they still have that meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The biggest tyrants still got that meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you engage with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words, you understand that. One of the examples that's often repeated in the Quran is the example of Fir'aun. Inna Fir'auna ala fil ardi. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. That Fir'aun, he lorded over his people. And what happened to him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought him to his knees. So you want to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willingly. You don't want to be in a position where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forces you to submit. It's those who return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we all will. You haven't done the things that you need to do in order for your standing to be a good one. You will have to answer for whatever it is that you didn't do or did. We want to minimize the risk of standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being denied entry into His garden, simply because we couldn't figure that out. Simply because we couldn't figure that out. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He inoculates us with compassion and mercy, that He allows us to demonstrate that to others, that we demonstrate compassion and mercy to everyone, regardless of who they are or where they are in their lives. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to see human beings as human beings. Even the worst person is deserving of compassion and mercy. Person that you see, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala demonstrates mercy and compassion to that person. When that person messes up, He still gives them an opportunity to turn it around. Just come to me, take a step towards me, an inch towards me. This is what your Lord tells him. That means that when Fulan walks in the door and he's tore up, that whatever condition the person is in, and they walk in the masjid, they're in the masjid. The masjid is supposed to be a safe haven. It's supposed to be a welcoming environment, not one in which when a person walks in, we put them in a category. Sometimes people walk into the masjid and it's the last time they walk into the masjid because of how we treat them. I ain't going back there. I'm not doing that. Why am I doing that? I came here for help, and the first thing you did is tell me everything that's wrong with me. I already know what's wrong with me. I don't need you to tell me what's wrong with me. I know what's wrong with me. I'm here to get some help. I'm here to get some direction. Regardless of how the person looks. Sister may walk into the masjid not dressed appropriately. And the first thing we go to is stuff for we go through our stuff. And we forget that this person, inshallah, is coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we treat those people? We're focused on all the wrong things. And all of it has to do with where we're at. More so than where the people are at. You always have work to do. Be in the business of handling your work. Your work is with you. Be in the business of handling your work. Your work is with you. Your work is with you. Find a way today. Ask Allah to forgive you. And as you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you, figure out how to forgive somebody else that you haven't gotten around to do that for whatever reason. Find a way to do that. Find a way to let go of those transgressions that people have committed against you. Find a way to let go of those things. It's the same way when you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you're begging Him to forgive you for all those things that other people don't know about, but you know about, and you want Him to forgive you so that when you stand before Him, that's not held against you. Figure out how to do that. Today is the day, brothers and sisters. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He accepts from us all on this blessed day of Jum'ah, that He forgives us all on this blessed day of Jum'ah, and that He brings us all closer to Him on this blessed day of Jum'ah. Ala wa sallu ala sayyidil mursaleen wa imam al-muttaqeen faqad amarakum Allah bidhalika fi kitab al-aziz faqala jalla min qa'il inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala an-nabi ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima wa yaqulu alayhi afdalus salati wat taslim من صلى علي مرة صلى الله عليه بها عشرة اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وأنعم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى